Welcome to the Commissioner's Report. I am Public Information Officer William Terrell. Our guest today is Dennis Gailey, the Public Protection and Compliance Officer for Camden County, and we're going to be talking to him about a subject that's probably near and dear to your heart, about our pets, some of the animals in Camden County. One of Dennis's duties is that he oversees animal control in Camden County. Not always a fun job, but it's an important job. Dennis, welcome.
Thank you, William.
How long you been doing this with animal control?
Probably since about 2007 when Mr. Howard came on board. He appointed me to oversee that division.
You like doing it?
Absolutely. It's another opportunity to get out and interact with the public. So it's a chance to also see the other side of people in dealing with their pets, which is, normally in emergencies, you're dealing with things right then and there, and then you get to see what people care for as well as a lot as their pets. So not only their family, but their pets.
Right,
so.
Absolutely. Well, tell us some things about animal control that folks might be interested in, like the kind of services that you provide, if an animal gets lost, or talk to us about that.
Well, William, there's animal control runs for the county, runs in the city of Woodbine, the city of St. Mary's, and the unincorporated areas of Camden County. Okay. It runs on a full service scale and a limited service scale, which a lot of people are not probably aware of. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the services they do, if you don't mind, in the full service scale. During full service, which is what we consider Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 business hours, they enforce the local ordinance of Camden County, which includes familiar things like the leash law, rabies and vaccination, caring for condition of pets, cruelty investigations, bite investigations, stray animals, and trapping of animals, domestic animals. So that's what they do full service, and then they do a much more limited scope of service on after hours, holidays, and weekends, which just pertain to usually bite investigations and assistant public safety officers, typically law enforcement after hours on the weekends with animals in emergencies. So that's kind of the scope of the services that they do, and they also handle some partnerships. They're also partnered with the Humane Society of Camden County, who does all the animal housing for Camden County Animal Control. And they also partner with Environmental Health of Camden County, which handles the rabies control portion. So when we have a case of rabies in a domesticated animal, they work with them to mitigate that.
One of the things you were talking about is the leash law. What is the leash law? What is it? How would you define it? I mean, what is the law? If you take an animal out, do they have to be on a leash at all times outside of your house?
By the letter of the law, they do, and kind of strangely enough, that includes cats as well. But there is some provision in there for the animal being under the owner's command type of thing. So the kind of default to that is if they happen to get away from you, then they have to default back to they should have been on the leash. But they do have some latitude in there for you to have your dog within your command, typically on your own property, and they're within your verbal command. That's satisfactory, but in the end, in the default, if something was to happen, they have to be restrained on the leash by the letter of the law. So it kind of depends on some of the circumstances there, but generally speaking, it's best to have them on a leash at all times because you don't know what may provoke an animal to run away from you, and even some of the most obedient animals still tend to have nature tendencies, and they may want to run off.
Absolutely. So. And let's focus on one thing else for a second, how important this is, rabies and vaccinations. Stress to people how important that is.
That is very important to have your animal vaccinated on an annual basis, and you can usually have that done at a veterinarian establishment, or you can have these clinics, and I wanted to mention too real quick, on March 22nd we're having a clinic, and if, for those who need more information, always call us at Animal Control. We can tell you when the next clinic is going to be. And they're usually low-cost types of events, so we encourage people to vaccinate.
So there's a lot of services if they choose to take advantage of. What's the number at Animal Control if they would need to call that number? Or to call you? To call us,
well, the best number to probably call to get a number is call us here locally at the 576-5601, and then they'll transfer them to where they need to go.
Folks, that's 912-576-5601, which will ring at the county's office here.
Right.
And they can get in touch with Dennis or with Animal Control. Dennis, thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
Folks, join us next week when Dennis will be back talking about some of his when we talk about some of his other duties. Thank you for joining us.